Join us right now on the BetQL guest hotline. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com. It's Mike Jones, the head basketball coach at DeMatha. Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Good morning, Coach.
Thanks for being on, buddy. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I know Jason was talking to you yesterday, and he was trying to get all the scoop, and we're watching Last Chance U. And, when the name Joe Hampton kept coming up, it did ring a bell. And then when I finally saw the first episode, I remembered, Coach, I don't know if Mike realizes this, but I'd go to a couple games a year. I sit next to my brothers, the band director there. And I remember watching Joe. I think maybe we were playing Paul the Sixth. And I was like, that kid is legit. What happened with him where he left for Oak Hill? Was he dismissed? Did you dismiss him, or was it a situation where these kids are just transferring every year now in a lot of these schools?
Yeah, no, he wasn't dismissed. He and his family decided that Oak Hill was just going to be the situation that he needed at that point. Kids transfer for different reasons, and Joe's reasons were personal to him, and they made the decision. And but I still communicate with Joe occasionally, but we've never harbored any hard feelings towards Joe.
Well, you've watched Last Chance U. I think you told me that, and I just kind of picture myself trying to coach him, trying to coach that team. That Mosley guy, man, he deserves an award.
He has the patience of Job. I mean,
he's
a different style, right?
He's kind of crazy. He's kind of crazy in practices. He gets after these kids, but I just kind of picture myself trying to coach that kid, and some of the things he says. I mean, he's just so disrespectful in the show. I can't imagine
he lets him get away with murder.
I can't imagine he's still like that, but I could be wrong. But was he like that at DeMatha?
Not at all. Not at all. Joe definitely. His upbringing was different. I wouldn't say it was easy by any stretch, but he definitely had, a dad who truly cared about him and tried to do everything he could to put him in positions to be successful. A lot of that stuff kind of starts to come out in the series in Last Chance U. But Joe was a great kid. I enjoyed coaching him. I made it very clear to anybody that'll listen, I did not want Joe to leave. I look forward to coaching him his junior and senior year. We didn't have those issues with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So, Coach, you've won over 500 games at DeMatha, and, of course, you played at DeMatha under Morgan Wooten. You're a couple years younger than us. I'm wondering, when you entered DeMatha, did you hear about the legend of Jason Bishop on the basketball court?
So I knew that was coming.
Let's keep it real. I was a freshman when Jason was a senior.
Okay.
And, you at DeMatha, the basketball team is the basketball team. So I looked up to all of those guys, Jason included. And I remember him, when he committed to Richmond. And, at that point in time, Richmond was in the CAA. I wound up playing in the CAA. Richmond was the elite team in the CAA. The legend of Jason Bishop is not hyperbole. Like he was.
There you go. There you go.
Coach, you've done something remarkable.
He had a slightly better college career than I had.
Yeah, slightly better.
At ODU.
Coach, you've done something remarkable. You never want to be the guy that follows the legend. You want to be the guy that follows the legend because the shoes are so impossible to fill. I mean, talk about you stepping in for Morgan Wooten, obviously a legendary coach there at DeMatha. You've amassed 500 wins, 500-plus wins now, as JP touched on. What's it like stepping into those sorts of shoes?
It's honestly, it's a privilege. It's a blessing. It's, the fact that it's at DeMatha is, I think, the most special part of it. DeMatha, we are one DeMatha. We are a unique situation that I don't think any other high school can duplicate. And then obviously, if you're going to talk about the basketball program, you have to talk about Coach Wooten, and that should be pretty much all you talk about. So being entrusted by him and the administration at the time to fill those shoes that he had, or try to fill those shoes that he had, was definitely a privilege and something that I've never taken for granted. But the success that has come does not happen. But, and I don't want to sound cliche, but honestly, it does not happen without the support of the school, without the coaches that have coached with me and still do. And then obviously if the players aren't good, it doesn't matter. So the players have been tremendous. Their families have been tremendous. So it's made it what I imagine is a lot easier than it would have been if circumstances were different. So
we're talking to Mike Jones, head basketball coach at DeMatha. He's been there for a long time, taking over for Morgan Wooten. And, of course, Mike also was involved with USA basketball in 2019, the U16 team that he coached to a gold medal, and I believe that was in Brazil. So he's not just been a local standout and coach, he's been a national guy too, and he's coached many guys who are in the league now. And like I was telling you yesterday, Mike, the reason we wanted to have you on the show is because we did a couple segments and even took some calls from some Maryland fans about Turgeon after they lost to Alabama. And there are just some fans out there that just aren't happy with just getting to the tournament 6 out of 7 years. They want to see him get to the Sweet 16, get to the Elite Eight, obviously get to a national championship game like Gary did and win one. But, some Maryland fans aren't realistic. And we also talked about the recruiting. And there's so many good standout recruits coming out of the WCAC, including DeMatha. And DeMatha hasn't had a kid go to Maryland since Travis Garrison. So this has been, let's call it 20 years. And that's just, it's mind-boggling. And we just wanted to know what's the relationship between you and Coach Turge and the program? Is there some friction? If there's not, how come more kids haven't been filtered into College Park from DeMatha and some of the other WCAC schools?
Right. So first and foremost, and I have to start by saying, I am a Mark Turgeon fan, and I believe he's a really good coach. I understand that the fan base of the University of Maryland, honestly, I'm not as rabid as some of them are, but I'm a fan of the University of Maryland. So, I understand the desire to have a team that is consistently relevant within the national landscape and everything like that. But I have no issue with Coach Turgeon. And unless Coach Turgeon tells me that he has an issue with me, I don't believe that Coach Turgeon has an issue with me or with DeMatha or with the WCAC. I've never heard that come out of his mouth. So there is no issue. I think people need to keep a perspective on this, and this is like, you hear, why don't you send guys here? Why don't you send guys there? I don't send guys anywhere. I don't tell my kids where to go to school. And, for just giving some perspective, you can't just assume that because no one's gone from DeMatha to the University of Maryland since Travis Garrison, that doesn't mean that every single season there's been someone at DeMatha good enough to go to the University of Maryland. So stop looking at it like, hey, there's this long period of time. And yes, we have had some really good players, but the craziness that I hear sometimes, and it is what it is, it comes with the job, but why can't it just be the kids decided to go somewhere else? It doesn't have to be some nefarious reason for them choosing another school. It doesn't have to be something seedy behind the scenes, some brokered deals or anything like that. It's just, hey, the kids decided to go somewhere else. And I don't think you can argue with, when you talk about the elite level guys, it's worked out for them. But it's also worked out for the University of Maryland. The University of Maryland's been good. So, let's be real. You could look at, Victor Oladipo didn't go to Maryland, but one of the reasons why, amongst others, is they took a commitment from Terrence Ross. Victor chose to go to Indiana. It worked out for Victor. It's worked out for Terrence Ross as well, even though Terrence never went to Maryland. Jeremy Grant, when he was deciding on whether or not he was going to go to Maryland, Jake Layman committed a couple of days before Jeremy committed to Syracuse. It made Jeremy's decision easier. I'm not saying he would have gone to Maryland, but it made his decision easier. Well, Jake Layman's still playing in the NBA. Jeremy Grant's still playing in the NBA. It worked out for both of them. And you can keep going down the line, and not just the guys from DeMatha, but the other guys too, the Rudy Gays, the Kevin Durant's, the other top players from this area that have decided to go elsewhere. you look at what the track record is. Like, they made a good decision. Like, it's worked out for them. So let's not make this about, there's got to be some reason why they're not going. I do believe everything is cyclical. I do believe that there's going to be a time, probably very soon, that more local guys are going to stay home like they have done in the past. But if you look at just the trends, there's gaps of years where a lot of guys just go away, then a lot of guys stay home, then a lot of guys go away, and I just think it's all a cycle. And the cycle is going to turn back in favor of Maryland and Georgetown and the local schools again, I'm sure of it.
Let me ask you this, and just tell me what you can about Hunter Dickinson. He was obviously one of the best players in the country. He was a top 25 high school player in the country. Everyone wanted him. Obviously, John Beilein wanted him at Michigan.
Yes.
And I assume Turge wanted him, but I don't even know if Hunter wanted to go to Maryland. But is there a reason, do you think, that he did not go to Maryland? I know the Mitchell twins were committed, but
that was a factor, right?
But you look at what Hunter Dickinson did this year, and you look at the success of Michigan in the tournament so far. Maryland fans are going, why couldn't we get Hunter Dickinson?
Right. So, I think, and again, I don't want to say anything that,
right,
Hunter wouldn't say, or that, I don't want to speak for him. I don't want to speak for Turgeon. I'll give my perspective.
Okay.
So the way I see this is Dustin Clark was Coach Turgeon's assistant. Dustin Clark, I believe, took the lead on recruiting Hunter and recruiting DeMatha, really. And Dustin Clark really did a good job of establishing a connection with him. I know everybody refers to the video of Hunter sometime in his sophomore year of saying, hey, one of the schools that's showing me the most interest is the University of Maryland. Mm-hmm. So, yes, Maryland did, quote, unquote, recruit Hunter Dickinson.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people have to understand, and again, I can't answer like exactly how things happen, but
right.
When you're like, recruit is a movable term. Like, it doesn't mean the same for everybody. You don't recruit a top 25 kid the same way you recruit a top 100 kid. You don't recruit, a priority the same way you recruit a kid that, it'd be nice if he comes, but, we've got other options. Like, there's just different ways to recruit. So if a young man like Hunter says, I wasn't recruited, it doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't try to get him. Yeah. It just means that maybe the effort and the energy put into it just doesn't match
other schools, right?
Yeah, what other schools do, or maybe what Maryland, not just what other schools were doing with Hunter, but maybe what Maryland was doing with other priority recruits for them. Like, all these kids talk. Like, they all talk to each other. And, like, they all know who does what and, like, was coach at your game and who came to see you and things like that. So
it's a lot different than when you and I were coming out, man. So much different.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, again, I don't want to.
Yeah, I understand. I didn't want to put you in a bad spot there. I just wanted to, a lot of fans are frustrated.
I think it's important to put that out there, though, because there are people that I can see on social media hit me up all the time that say, why didn't they recruit Hunter?
Yeah.
It's
they did. I mean, that's what he's saying. And look, it's obviously worked out for Hunter. I mean, he's going to be a lottery pick at some point, and he's obviously in a good spot in Michigan. One other thing I wanted to touch on real quick. Can you put to rest the whole Under Armour thing, since Maryland's an Under Armour school? Now, you guys are a Nike team at an Under Armour high school, but can you put to rest the fact that, just because it's an Under Armour team versus an Adidas team, that's not why certain kids are going to certain schools?
Yeah, like what does that mean? What does that mean? So that means that every kid that we've had, like, if that were true, then every kid that we've had, they would all go to a Nike school. And if you look at all of our recruits, that isn't even close to being true. Mm-hmm. Like, we've had kids go to Notre Dame. Notre Dame was an Adidas school. Now they're Under Armour school. Earl Timberlake went to Miami just this past season, Adidas school. Guys have gone to the University of Delaware, East Tennessee State, gone to all of these places that are not Nike. So I don't understand where that comes from. And Jason, I know I told you something yesterday. I don't want to repeat that, but trust me, Nike has never told me hey, your kids need to go to Nike schools. And I'll put it this way. I can't say that about every other shoe company that we've mentioned here today.
Wow.
So,
I got you.
Well, you see some of that in court documents. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, we
That's
see
some of
that.
stuff is out there.
It's not like, again, I don't understand why fans, I know you want your program to win. I want Maryland to win. I would love it if one of our guys or some of our guys went to the University of Maryland. Trust me, it would make my job a whole lot easier. I would love to be able to drive up the street 10 minutes and be able to watch them play. But please don't just make up something to justify why things are the way they are when you don't know what you're talking about.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what you see on Twitter, Coach. I can't even imagine what you see, what you deal with.
Again, I understand some stuff comes with the job, and it is what it is, and that's why I don't respond to it. I mean, it's not healthy.
Let me say this: if I'm Keith Bogenzo and I'm being recruited by Maryland and Kentucky, I pretty much know where I'm going. If I'm Joe Forte and I'm a Maryland guy, if I'm being recruited by Carolina and Maryland, I know where I'm going to go. Some of those schools, I mean, Maryland fans, and I'm one of them, and I'm a grad there. From there, we have unrealistic expectations sometimes. You know,
but you should. You should, honestly. I love that. If I was the coach at Maryland, I would love how passionate the fans are. I would love the fact that you can go in to the Xfinity Center and see the student section be as wild and as crazy as it is.
100%.
You want an environment like that. If I'm Turgeon, I love that. I embrace that. But with that comes the expectation and the pressure, so quote unquote, that you have to. Like, I want to see Maryland go to a Final Four. Like, hey, let's get it done. But I also think that people need to be careful. Like, I mean, it's so easy to say, hey, we need another coach. Like, that's be careful what you ask for. Like,
well, look, we got to run. We got to get to a commercial break. I just wanted to give you the platform to kind of clear things up because we were throwing around stuff and theories yesterday. You know, we're just fans. I'm not on the inside, but you clearly are. So I wanted to give you the platform to kind of clear some of the things up between the relationship between the local kids and University of Maryland. So, hey, look, we appreciate it. You're doing an awesome job. Appreciate the time, man. We're gonna
thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
We'll talk soon, okay?
Yes, sir.
Coach Mike Jones from DeMatha.